Hey, welcome back to the Metropole Grid. My name is Andre.
And I'm Patrick.
And thanks so much for tuning in. We are here with the grand finals of Canadian Nationals 2024 East Coast Edition.
East Coast Edition.
East-ish. This is in Toronto, mind you, the basement of the St. Mary Magdalene's Anglican Church.
Yep.
Phenomenal weekend. Huge shout out to all the organizers in Toronto to make this event as
we were
great
both
as it was.
able to play, and I had a great time. It was such a happy communal atmosphere. We all ate spaghetti together. What a lovely time.
No, it was genuinely phenomenal.
Yeah.
There's about 40 players that showed up on day one to play Swiss. A whole bunch of them returned on day two. Now, 8 of those that returned are playing here in the top cut. Now, the top cut is double elimination.
That's right. You get 2 lives.
2 lives. And one of these players, actually, no, but now both of these players are on their last live. So whoever wins this takes the Canadian national title.
Each of them has beaten the other once in the top cut.
That's true. Yeah. And notably, this matchup has happened before. So coming in from the upper brackets on the left, that's Ark1t3kt. That's Sam, a player classically, I think, learned Netrunner up in the Yukon, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Now playing from Toronto, and he's playing a good fundamental HB precision design list.
Yes, this is a classic HB precision design list.
System gateway special. Now we have some added border controls in the FFG card pool, some gatekeepers.
But otherwise, we're looking at our manograms or anoetics.
It's the deck you know, it's the deck you love, and it's doing really well. In fact,
of course.
Sam is the player who knocked down on the right John into the lower brackets and the top cut. John has yet to beat this PD matchup. I think they've only matched up once so far during the top cut, but this is a matchup that John has so far met and was not able to overcome.
That's right.
Now, John on the right, RPG Clinic, check it out. He has been playing Netrunner for as long as I remember. He came in from Montreal. There's about 5 or 6 of us who came into Toronto. Yeah. And he is now playing some kit.
We had a pretty strong contingent, it's true, but now he's playing kit. He's doing the Spark of Inspiration, Lobby Songing, and Orca kit.
Yep.
So he's hoping not to see either of those in his hands and hoping to Spark of Inspiration them from his deck for cheap.
Yeah, Lobby Songing. And again, one of the cards that came out of Rebellion without rehearsal is such a powerful breaker, especially in the hands of Kit.
Big booster for Kit. Kit loves this card.
Now, Kit says, again, the first ice you encounter each turn is a code gate, which means Lobosomio is going to be charging itself guaranteed.
That's right.
And you're almost basically impossible to not get through a 2-ice server in this matchup.
Yeah.
If the second ice is the sentry, okay, the drafter will fire. That's not good, but this deck does care about rushing out agendas behind 2 ice, 1 ice as quickly as possible. And Kit, as long as Kit can find the spark, heaven forbid, rigging it up from hand, you can go quickly.
That's true.
So this is prepaid economy. I think compile is also going to be really important. 2 notable things. Firstly, showing the hand here, I think John realized he was not meant to take the mulligan before, but I also think that's the double breaker open.
So that's not even the first time I've seen this on camera.
Yeah, I know. That happened this weekend.
That's the worst thing that you want to see as a Spark of Inspiration kit is your 2 breakers, the only 2 programs you have in the entire deck in your opening hand.
18 credits worth of installables there. Yeah, you want to get those for free with Spark of Inspiration.
Hey, it's down to 12 if you have 2 rigging ups.
Value.
Hang on, is it riggings up?
It's rigging ups.
Interesting.
On PD side there, Ark1t3kt is thinking about it again. Seeing that the runner mulligan first actually gives you a bit more information.
It gives quite a bit of information, yeah.
Definitely something that you want to be careful for.
Yeah, the corp should always be the one to mulligan first. But frankly, that was too good a story to not share.
Now, this matchup, notable things. Firstly, it is open deck lists. So each player knows every card in their opponent's deck list.
That is true.
That is just a thing of the top cut. I'm a big fan of open deck lists in general. Secondly, this is our first truly untimed game. So classically, there were 40-minute games in the top cut. This one is going to be a bit longer than 40 minutes because players are going to take their time and think.
They have the time to think. We're also in the middle of the afternoon. There's no one kicking us out. We are going to get to spend our time.
Yeah, we have a great game coming up. Yeah. So again, PD for unfamiliar, 44 card deck. Mind you, that 40 card minimum. And you have 6 hand size. When you score an agenda, you may add a card from archives to hand. Generally seamless launches. Love the handshake.
It's usually going to be seamless launch, but it could be other things. Yeah. All right. Good luck. Have fun.
Now, I believe Sam there kept, which means we want to have that aggressive start. R&D gets a lot of pressure here with the new trick shot. Burner on HQ. There's a lot of centrals pressure in general. But the big question is how quickly does Kit produce that Spark of Inspiration? Heaven forbid, get the breaker down. If you spark and the first spark that you get down is the Orca, it's not great for you.
That's a bit awkward. It's not the one you want.
And then maybe compiles give you a bit of a reach. Mind you, compile an FFG card that lets you make a run and produce a program from your deck.
Right. Kind of seeing a resurgence because it's also this deck's recursion.
Yes.
If a program gets discarded, you can bring it back with compile. Okay, leaving centrals open, leaving R&D open. And got a remote server going.
Now, Icing HQ, there's definitely some burner respect there. There might be an agenda. The remote server right now, if you ask me, probably Rashida, maybe an early Tranquility home grid. Those are your best push outs in the remote server early. There's a chance you can actually get an agenda behind a single ice on turn 1 against Kit. You're not expecting to see a compile or a spark and then a run on this as soon as this. Now, R&D is wide open. Things like Trick Shot get you somewhere, as much as it'll only be accesses. You can't really SMC in this deck. There's no way to use those credits if you're not trashing cards. We're going to start with a Diesel here. And mind you, this list is on Onacom. It's on prepaid. We're just going for single and open R&D. Top card, it's an ice. Looks like maybe a Gatekeeper there. Rigging
up into Onacom, sure.
Now, that's not going to draw on the Rigging Up fire because we played an event already this turn, but daily casts, that 5 credit econ card, the game will definitely be long enough to pay off. And
for sure.
Rashida and their mode server is exactly what Sam wants.
Yep.
Now, notably,
3 plus mandatory.
John here's going for single accesses. I'm not sure what that means. Whether his hand is good enough that he has the spark already. Because if I'm in that situation, a lot of times I want to draw deeper into my deck to make sure I have a spark. Because if I don't have a spark, if I don't have my breaker, I'm losing the game quickly.
That's right.
So if I'm taking the time to see a card on top of the deck, it's saying that I'm confidently have part of my game plan already here and I don't need to find it.
I don't need to show it to you yet.
Yes.
I will just get a quick little access here and there.
Now, knowing what the ice is also in this matchup, like top decking and seeing ice doesn't matter too much when you're Kit, when you can face check pretty freely. Greasing the palm. Card in their mode server, no advancement, there's no tags involved, but I love that 2 credit click compressed econ card.
Yeah, I love it.
Second ice there.
Icing up.
We have some choices. Now, the face checks here against HB again. Remote server, a lot of times click 1. I will run the remote server to force a res. Worst case scenario, there's no cards in archives turn 1. Drafter is fine.
Drafter is fine in turn 1.
Is okay turn 1 if you want to get down to 0 strength.
At this point, Drafter is now very much online because you don't want the Rashid to come back for free.
Yeah. So the window to face check might have been there on turn 1. It's closed a bit. It's a fair bit harder now.
Yeah. We have Diesel for 4, I think, here.
Now, does Diesel for 4 touching iron? I don't know if he has his breaker in hand. Top of the deck, it's a Hagen. That's a barrier. 6 strength. Now, that subroutine, the first subroutine won't matter in this matchup at all. There are no programs in the deck that don't have those types on it. Dr. Nuka for more card draw here.
Okay. Yeah. If you have Spark in hand, you're not drawing this hard.
Yeah, you often don't want to be dieseling because then you draw your program that you want to spark out. So there's a chance that John doesn't have it and still going for the single axis is there. Card on the remote server here, I think would be happy with a Rashida, but no res there. Looks like a Tranquility home grid, maybe even seamless launch for an agenda. I think worst case there for the runner, we're looking at the luminal transubstantiation. Checking archives, that means we're scoring out, right?
Yeah. What am I going to bring back? Don't worry about it.
Gotta plan your turn there. So seeing the remote server, mind you, the agendas in this deck, we're looking at, I think, architect deployment tests. Off-world offices, and then, of course, 2 copies of Iqua, the 1 of Luminal Transubstantiation. So the Corp is looking here to score 3 agendas, 2 2-pointers, and then one 3-pointer.
Hopefully the 3-pointer to finish off. Ooh. That's a good one to get early. Like, if your HB scores a Luminal as its first agenda, like, the chance of winning goes up so high, right?
Yes.
You get so much value out of this right now.
Free turn. Now, notably, the Greasing went back, not the Rashida. That suggests the card that's going to go in the remote server this turn is
already in HB.
Better than, better than Rashida. So either a second Rashida or more likely an agenda here on a board state where the runner is clearly drawing for their answer.
That's true. We're also icing up R&D.
This HB is off, and now John might have spent 2 clicks on single axes. If he doesn't have his breaker, this is exactly the spot you don't want to be in. If you can technically threaten to score out in 3 turns, 2 more turns from here from HB.
Yeah.
Diesel for 4, nuke on the table, but the Diesel's going to get that on a com draw. He needs to find his breakers here. Also now, if he has, I think potentially he doesn't have it yet. You see the cards he's drawing up? I think a Trick Shot. He has a Lobi.
I just saw he drew one of his breakers. That is frustrating to see. But maybe he's got a rigging up. Maybe just going to get it the hard way.
Lobosomium costs a massive 8 credits. Now, one of your lines here is you can choose to discard it at end of turn and compile it back. But then it's on the bottom.
It's on the bottom. You have to go through more than 1 spark or otherwise find a way to shuffle. I'm not sure what there are in this deck, but
with that deck or this sort of deck that's on spark is sometimes so tricky, and compile definitely helps.
Yeah.
But here now, John, if he has 1 or 2 more event econ plays, he might be able to just hard cast for 8 as much as would rather not. We see a burner, I think, in hand. I think we saw those trick shots. Those are, speaking of Scott and Minga, foil arts.
Yeah, I love a trick shot.
Toronto artist legend.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, but one of the 2 Scotty Minga alt arts, the other one being Mitosis from Toronto.
We saw that in some earlier rounds today.
Oh, did it?
Yeah. Dirty Laundry, just R&D for 3 credits.
Okay.
Not getting an access here because not much you can run.
Okay.
Daily Cast.
Just making some money, getting the econ going.
I would honestly Daily Cast is 5 credit econ card in 4 turns. This game could potentially be 3 turns.
Yeah, but PD can go pretty fast sometimes.
Yes.
Let's see what that card in the server was. I'm guessing another Rashida.
It has to be an agenda.
Okay.
It's Rashida or agenda. I think you're right.
Yeah.
Throwing out overclock again. If you don't have your breaker, it doesn't do anything here. It does help for trashing. You saw he considered throwing out a trick shot too, and that's obviously a very valuable card, but all these cards require breakers to do anything. And
That is true.
if we're in the Spark of Inspiration waiting room, can be a bit ugly. There's a DJ Fenris.
Okay.
Sometimes a difficult card to throw out. That is your late game option. If you want to run HQ with Steve Cambridge, if you need Quetzal to sneak through some barriers.
Quetzal might be really useful if they're really taxing out your lobby counters.
And no face check here, mind you. Only 10 credits. You're expecting to force the corporation to spend 3 to 4 credits resing ice on the remote server. I think face checking has a place in this matchup. Now, Gatekeeper's pretty rough. Drafter's pretty rough.
Really going to accelerate them. Okay.
There's a Seamless.
This is an agenda then.
We're scoring another. We would want an Architect deployment test. Now look at the top 5 cards.
Okay.
This is what I mean.
How much value are we going to get out of this Architect deployment test? And then, of course, we're going to do the PD stuff of pulling the Seamless back in.
The game could be over next turn.
Yeah, it could be.
If you find here, with Architect deployment test, you're allowed to install an agenda. If you install an Ikoa, you return the Seamless launch from bin to hand, have another Seamless launch in hand, survive a burner, res on the remote server. For 3 credits, you can be on 7 points.
Yeah. He's on 7 credits now?
Yep.
Too? Yeah.
He's on 7 credits.
He's going to get a big install out of this, but potentially you can tax this down a little bit. You can make runs that he has to defend.
Yeah. Now, the other option here is you can go for ice. 7 credits. If you force the runs, if John starts face checking, that money can go relatively quickly. None of the ice here probably costs less than 3 credits. Maybe there's an ablative. But the Hagen just on R&D.
Yeah, Hagen R&D.
So that means we found...
he doesn't have many agendas left in hand. Like, we both think that the agendas are in R&D at this point, right?
He might have 1 more in hand. You're not expecting it. He's gone through about 11 cards, so that's about 2 agendas. That seems about right. Now deciding what to bring back from PD. The Rashida is like the very easy play, but for a following turn. But John here...
But the Seamless could set up the win.
Yeah. There's this idea that if you're putting cards in a remote server, John understands he has to interact. And at least this is a bit of a breather of a turn. If the Architect deployment test puts something in the remote server, and if it's an agenda, I'm not sure if you have to reveal it or not, but that's fine. But now John has a turn where he can just fully set up and he's not worried about contesting.
That's true.
These turns are actually sometimes very rare from PD, where often, like, if you can, you want to do like install advance your agenda, then you can Seamless and have another click to jam.
Yeah. The Seamless gives you that extra click to jam something in there. The runner has to respond.
But like still being down 4 points, at least John has 1 turn of breathing room before he might have to contest the following. And the following turn,
back the Rashida.
Probably going to be Rashida in the remote.
Okay. Which is also saying something. Maybe that's also saying I don't have anything in my hand.
Also, he didn't pull back a Seamless. And a lot of times you want double Seamless to score at the Ikoa, which means he probably has multiple Seamless in his hand already. Or at least 1.
That's a good point. He might have 2, but he definitely has 1.
John still drawing. I think we know the Lobby is still in hand.
John, get that spark.
I think he just drew the spark there, and he might have also picked up an Orca. His hand, he reacted that he drew, unfortunately, but spark is now there in hand. So he needs to like throw it out, compile it, then spark it.
No.
It's a bit of work.
Okay.
Foil Sure Gamble. I think John printed those are quite nice. Drawing a card there with Anacom.
Looks like a daily.
17 credits and still looking at the idea that you might have to install 18 credits worth of breakers.
Yeah. Oh. And then spend money on those to break through whatever it is you're finding. Okay.
John is trying to figure this out.
He's thinking.
Got a lot of money still coming in from daily casts. Sam's board state, mind you, on 7 credits. Econ's actually like a very rate limiting thing here. If he has a hedge fund, he can do install advanced hedge fund, double install hedge fund with an upgrade. Like that's probably the play that Sam needs here, because as soon as John starts face checking, things are going to get a bit difficult. There's a compile.
We are a compiler.
Make a run. We're running an R&D. It's sometimes great to run into pre-resed ice just to force the breaker. Oh, he threw out the Lobby.
Oh, he threw it out. Okay, good.
So Lobby gets installed for free.
Yep.
Comes in with a counter. Now, if you want to break the Brawn here, you have to boost twice, break once. You don't have a huge incentive. It's technically paying 3 credits for a single access. It seems a bit expensive on this board state, but you can touch a card.
Yeah, you could. That is quite expensive, but like also just bouncing in order to make sure that the Lobby is back in your deck.
It gets put back no matter what.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But that way you wouldn't have to spend extra 5 credits, is it?
Oh, John's breaking. I think he might have broke both subroutines. I'd have to double check.
Yeah, you don't have to break the other one because he has no programs that are vulnerable to that.
But not only is he paying a lot for this access, those top 4 cards are known. If there was an agenda, would it be on another Hagen? So 11 credits. Going to use the counter again. The counters don't matter. Now you need a boost, break. I think he overpays. I think he paid 5 to break.
Okay.
Sees a drafter on top. It's going down. That single axis costs like 9 credits.
That was a very costly single axis. Yeah, but at least the Lobby's back in there. Like the main point of that run was to put the Lobby back.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. So That's accomplished.
But that is a huge swing. I think if
yeah.
you're sitting there with Sam, when you'd see the credits go down from 17 to 6 in
you're
one
like,
click,
I'm
you're
okay with
feeling
this, yeah.
okay about that. Another daily cast. So again, hoping the game goes longer here, and we're teetering on the edge of that being maybe not a reality. Bottom of the deck now. We know the bottom card. There's not a lot of shuffle effects. Trick shot coming down.
No, trick shot's being
Sorry.
discarded.
I meant into the bin. Excuse me. Now down to 3 credits. That's the best part, though. The corporation here doesn't have a lot of money. Best econ play we have here, I believe, is Greasing the Palm.
Greasing cost 3 gives you +2.
Yeah. Greasing Hedge Fund maybe gets you there, but now with even Rashida, even a Greasing no Hedge Fund so far, Sam is struggling to get some stuff rezzed.
So that might be Rashid right there.
Yeah. Looks like Rashida install advance on 5 credits. This should be relatively okay to face check. If it's a drafter, that's a fair enough trade, I think. If it's a gatekeeper, that's fine. Getting that res early is okay. Cards in hand matter. That might end the run here, but that looks a lot like the Rashida for sure.
Spending 1
Pinhole.
pinhole through.
Easy Rashida there.
Yeah, trash it. Sure.
No, I wonder there if
Sam's not going to be too wealthy.
you could always consider face checking first to force the res and then pinhole.
Drawing from Anacom there
Yeah. Good to get that trigger down.
after the pinhole.
And now another turn that John can just set up. So while his credits have diminished, now every turn we're getting 2 to 4 credits start a turn. I don't think Sam has a lot of cards in hand, and only on 5 credits, John is actually getting breathing room here.
Yep.
Enough
Okay.
time to get this
Nuka.
Nuka down. Draw 3
Maybe
immediately.
we'll draw into the bottom of the deck and get that Wilby back.
I think we just drew into compile. He has a
good.
spark in hand.
Okay. And I think we know that the orc is in hand?
I think it is.
Okay.
Dirty laundry, just checking archives. 3 credit econ card. No Anacom draw. Sometimes it is what you have. You just need to get your money up.
Yeah, that's fine. It's an easy mark.
And throwing out a compile there. So
Okay.
5 cards in hand, back to Sam. He still knows the next, I think, 2 cards. Greasing the Palm coming up. Going to install, push you over 7. A hedge fund here would be quite nice if you can get it. But new server looks like a spin doctor. Now we are breaking R&D
Yes,
lock.
that's right. We're seeing new cards.
Spin doctor on the table. Allows you, if you want to pressure R&D, sometimes you want to thread the spin doctor because the corporation can always shuffle and see
That's right,
unknown
yep.
cards, but that's definitely not one of John's priorities here. This double ice remote server, at this point, we're like 5-6 turns here. I think Sam has to assume that John has access to his breakers.
Yeah, John's drawn 30 cards.
Yeah.
At this point, he must.
Worst case scenario, you might need 2 sparks to get the Orca and then to get the Lobby at the bottom of the deck, but at this point, we've seemed to have gone through half the deck. Ice on R&D again, another turn where we're not building board state. We're not forcing John to interact. That spin doctor is rezzed on the table, so John now has another turn just to play Euro
Build
board
script
game and set up.
Build script for a diesel plus credit.
Yeah, we spend an influence for that. There's
Yay,
a spark.
spark of inspiration.
Do you want to see every card in the deck?
Yeah, let's go.
Every card in the deck. That means 2 things. Firstly, we
2 more
know
sparks.
the Orca is in hand.
Yeah.
Now, this is open deck list, so it's not like we're going to learn anything from this,
Yeah.
but bottom card, what a trick. Lobby Somu coming down for free, getting its counter.
Talk about a trick shot, huh?
Yeah. The game has now changed.
Yes. Because
Sam,
we have Kit plus Lobby online.
this is where it gets scary. 9
Yep.
credits is not enough probably to keep the runner out from the remote server.
No.
You need the defensive upgrades. Architect had a window here, and he was chaining agenda to agenda so well, but he is unfortunately slowing down. It was the econ on resing. Even the res of, like, maybe the res of the Hagen was a bit of an overextension on
A little
R&D.
bit, yeah.
That is money that I think you need for the remote server here, and whether he's being rate limited again by the econ. The breakers down here, we might start to see some run events. Burners alive and well. Bravado into HQ seems quite okay.
Auto HQ seems fine, yeah.
Spin Doctor did draw on the last turn. I don't think the corporation was comfortable pushing the remote server, so if there's an agenda, it might be in hand. No, again, when you have 6 influence to spend on bravados, it makes sense in these sort of event-heavy prepaid lists. 3
Yeah.
cards in hand.
And Kit, of course, has 10 influence, but like the introduction of some of the cards in RWR really freed up some of that influence. Like you've got multi-access again, you've got HQ pressure.
Yeah, Shaper's eating well. Now, I do believe all of these cards were known cards. Maybe one isn't from the Architect deployment test.
Oh, John is getting the special die that we got for our nationals. This is from NSG, right?
No, that's an old ANRPC die, I think.
Oh, it was it? Okay.
I think so.
This wasn't one of the prizes we got at this event.
Maybe?
Anyway, we see the drafter.
It might be. I'll put it a correction. I'm not sure where the dice was from.
Yeah.
There's 7 credits, mind
7
you.
from the bravado.
Up
Very
to
nice.
15 credits. And this is where things can turn. Again, creative. We're back up to that 17 credits even further. We have Daily Cast still clicking in. Architect, the walls are closing.
Yeah, this is feeling stressful if I were in PD's position.
PD
But
needs
we haven't seen some of those like classic PD defensive
exactly.
stuff. We haven't seen the haven't seen the mana curve, and those are going to be crucial if we can get them down.
PD needs to make a play.
Yeah.
So you have things like exactly Anoetic Mana Garm. The one pinhole in the list is out.
That's
it was
true.
spent on a Rashida.
Yep.
So you know those upgrades, you're gonna have to contest them in more honest ways. You also have, I think, 2 border control in the deck. So setting up the border control Mana Garm Anoetic combo is exactly what you need now.
Yep.
Spin Doctor getting used immediately, which means we think another Spin Doctor is gonna hit the table really soon.
Yeah, that's true. Shuffling in Rashida and a Seamless Launch. By the way, I love that they have different card backs.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
I just want to point that out for everyone.
Yeah, I had to do that. Anything else felt weird. Now, Lobasimio also on 1 counter. It's really hard to tax that on a kit.
Yeah, of course. And then once you get the Orca down, it's basically impossible to ever tax it again.
Unless you empty it, because you can't charge an emptied card. So you have to do kit first. It's ugly, but it doesn't happen.
Yeah, yeah. But then like the next turn you will use kit's ability to charge.
Yes, exactly.
Charge.
Yeah, you'll always will find code gates.
Yeah. Or does the text on Lobasimio say charge or
put a counter? It's just like endurance.
Dang it.
There's a second Spin Doctor draw 2. Mind you, we shuffled the deck there. Rashida and Seamless went back. A lot of times in some of these PD matchups, if you're playing Ablative, you're playing Drafter, of course, you sometimes want to keep some of your good cards in archives.
That's right.
Now, Seamless is something you
can pull it back. Yeah.
probably actually do want to top deck because it does open some possibilities, but a lot of times keeping Rashida around does give the Drafter teeth, which I like. But again, now Architect here has to figure out that sort of, I need to install an upgrade, I need to install an agenda, I need to keep 2 Seamless. Like you have to build that sort of like one turn where something happens, or you need to install an upgrade and hope it survives a turn. But I think anything that goes into this remote server, when we're looking at 19 to 9, it will be challenged.
Might as well. There's no reason for John not to challenge it.
Yes. And he needs to be checking every turn.
Yeah. And again, it's open deck list. Like John knows what can go in there.
It's like for the last, I think, 2-3 turns now, HB has not put something in the remote server that's forced interaction. Yes. And this is what happens when you don't force the runners to interact.
It lets John to just build his rig. He can take things kind of casually. He can go after a single HQ with Bravado or something.
Yeah. Now, 2 more cards in hand here. HQ pressure looking good after these draws.
And 3 more.
Yeah, 3 more. You're right. And now if the remote server doesn't feel safe, where are the agendas going to stay in HQ?
Yeah. John is going to the banker to trade in his cash for 5s.
They're more intimidating.
Yeah, I was about to say, it is a manipulation tactic. Yeah. We love to see it.
Second click here again. Spin Doctor, I believe, was the first. Trashing the HQ ice.
Trashing HQ ice. It's so important that you didn't want to spend 1 credit to install a new piece of ice there. That's interesting.
Now, something in the remote server. All the Rashidas are back in circulation. You're not expecting this to be an agenda. In theory, it could be a 5-3 double Seamless, but I'm pretty sure we'll end up checking this. If not, you're actually taking on some risks unless you can like see HQ and see if there's Seamlesses or something like that in there.
That's right.
So John now thinking 1 daily cast. I think we're on our final daily cast, taking down 23 credits to 9. And not only does Lobasimio break code gates, break barriers, it's a really good breaker. Like the numbers are good.
It's just good on its own already, yeah?
The only taxing ice I think you're running into in this matchup is a Brawn, which mind you is 6 of the 9 credits that the HB deck has here.
Yeah.
And then you are boosting and breaking for 5. That's the worst case scenario.
Yeah. But Brawn is a 2 of in this list, I think.
I think 2 of sounds about right.
Yeah.
But Sam can barely afford it.
Yeah.
Nuka twice. Draw 6. Was that this turn? Maybe it's just draw 3, but we're getting deeper and deeper into our deck there. The prepaid showing up, the compiles, I think that might be a rigging up as well. The Orca, I think, is still in hand. And that can be really awkward if you're not kit, because face checking into a drafter can be bad here.
But if the drafter is the first piece of ice, then what do you care?
You don't have to take risks here, and I think we're going to rigging it up again.
Rigging up the Orca, and now the entire rig of two MU programs is out there.
Massive.
Yep.
Now you're paying 7 for this Orca. It breaks
the Orca
sentries.
as well. That's great art from Yakuza.
Now I'm not sure if we have Alan Cells on the list, but break drafter for 2, charge a card is pretty frightening here.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
So now all John needs to do is figure out how to continue to interact and never go too low. Like this is the exact sort of game plan where you play Control Shaper. Yep. You can continue to check the remote server. You don't have a huge reason to run R&D, which is relatively expensive with 2 Hagens. Like it's like 6 credits to break, give or take. Maybe less. Actually, maybe it's only 4.
Well, the Hagens are down to 4 strength.
Yeah, so you have to do boost break. Yeah,
boost break.
So 2 each. So not that bad.
And you don't have to break the second subroutine. Yeah, that's not so bad.
But the idea is that you don't need to overextend. You can basically play this sort of like suffocating, I'm going to run anything you put in the remote server. Yes. And once I've tired you out of options and I'm ahead on credits, I'll do a trick shot.
Yeah. There is a worry that R&D will tax out most of the counters on Lobi.
Yes, with the 2 Hagens. Yeah, that's true.
So maybe that will open up a window.
No res is a Tranquility home grade, 4 credits. to 16, mind you. This is the
Right.
economy
So
card.
John ran and no ice was res.
Yes, which makes sense. That might tell you that we're looking at things like Gatekeeper, which you want to keep for a certain turn, Ablative, you want to keep for a certain turn.
We also don't want Wilby to get more counters, maybe.
Yep. Now, not trashing this. That is a really strong econ card. I think John is considering it. 4 credits is obviously a lot, but this is one of the strongest econ cards in any HB deck. Every install for the rest of the game is two credits.
Or a card draw, which is also pretty scary when you have analytics and things like that.
When people play Greasing the Palm, this card just says Greasing the Palm every turn.
Yeah, exactly. Why play Greasing the Palm, Frank?
Install Gain 4.
You know what? You convinced me.
So John's thinking about this. This is the most expensive card in the deck to trash. And early game, this can be a bit more important, but like one of the clear struggles here that Sam's running into is econ.
Yeah, and how late in the game are we is another thing John's thinking. Like, John has to steal 3 agendas as well, 3 or 4.
Yeah.
But maybe this Tranquility isn't going to be that valuable over the long term.
Now, notably too, this is not an Ashen deck.
True.
DJ Fenris has been thrown out, so there's no Steve Cambridge. So John has to be careful that he only has a limited economy.
Yeah, he's got a limited number of tricks up his sleeve.
Yes. Once he's played all his events, the deck just clicks for credit.
Yeah.
Not trashing, I don't think.
Okay.
I think that's a hard
That's
choice
fine.
for sure.
Yeah, I understand why it's a hard choice. I think, you know, I'm not going to play a quarterback here. Wait, isn't that my job right now?
Kind of.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I would have done it then.
John looking through his bin. Mind you, in this room, you can tell in the audio, it got pretty quiet. I think John's quipping the whole time, but everyone's sitting around watching.
I mean, this was one of those, like, yeah, it got pretty quiet, got pretty intense, but also these two are having fun the whole time.
Yes.
This is one of those classic, like, Netrunner Grand Finals where everyone's, like, enjoying each other's company. Okay.
Prepaid voice pad, a bit late, but
yeah,
he's
so
doing the
prepaid is
math.
interesting. Yeah, yeah. He's like, I've got, like, enough
Events,
events left that I'll be playing 1 per turn that I'll make a couple credits off this.
It always pains you the turn it comes down if you can't use the credit. It feels like you're losing something here. But
yeah,
basically, as long as you're playing an event a turn for the rest of the game, you have installed a Rizeki. Classically, that's okay.
Hey, it's a Rizeki. Doesn't even take up MU.
Doesn't take up MU. So we'll see if John can get that event every turn. It looks like he still has enough. We're looking at still trick shots, bravados. The compiles are useless. I think we still have a couple sure gambles or one sure gamble.
One more bravado. All the trick shots, I think.
Yeah. He might have binned one, but yeah, that sounds about right. Obviously with Steve, like this is where the engine unends, especially with probably a fragile HQ, but the remote server here now, Sam understands that it's only going to get worse for him. 9 credits. He has the Tranquility home grid. He has 2 ice. Resing 2 ice on average costs about 6 credits, and he still needs about 2 credits to res defensive upgrades or fire analytics and a bit more click to draw.
Okay.
So if you do a double install here, you can thread an agenda and defensive upgrade and 2 ice. You'll get +1 credit after resing the Tranquility, putting you on 10. I don't know if you can afford 3 ice. Still, that seems a bit much.
Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty costly. Let's see what happens. I mean, certainly we're going to use Tranquility this turn.
You'd want to.
I would want to.
Yeah.
Of course.
You also want to just force, second draw. I don't know. We might not here. That's also very telling, right? Like you can always install on top of the Tranquility to draw, but we're going to install something here. I'd be surprised if it's an agenda, maybe Rashida, maybe just to keep busy. I'm a virus sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. An agenda is too vulnerable, and we know that John will probably check this.
Draw install gain 2. There's a fair bit of pressure on HQ because you're not expecting it to be agenda, and there's been a fair bit of drawing here.
That's a good point. We've drawn cards that John doesn't know about.
Now, burners are really important. I think we see there in hand is still a rigging up on the innermost. Not too many targets left. Maybe one more prepaid voice pad, I imagine. 16 credits.
I think he's just on 1 prepaid.
He might be on 2. I'm not sure. Again, open deck list. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, you'll put it
for somebody else. John's thinking about this again. This is not a timed round. Players are always, of course, every player in the top cut's making great decisions, but here you can really like relish in that thought process.
Yes. Yeah.
2 Hoggins again. If you want to run that, is only 4 credits to get through both of them. The outermost, we're running HQ here for a start. Checking what it is here early.
Check it. It's a casual check.
You have to res. Break for 2 credits. You got to charge your lobby. You can break it with the...
Either way, you charge your lobby.
Yeah.
Might as well use the Orca, spend 2, charge your lobby.
Yeah, it's the same cost. It's fine. Cheaper actually.
It's a little bit...
cheaper.
Right, because the strength and interfacing.
Popping Spin Doctor right away. What does this tell you?
Another Spin Doctor coming down?
There's another Spin Doctor in the remote server, and there's agendas in hand. Like, this is such a good tell.
Oh my God.
Like, it means that he wants to run the Spin Doctor, so you know there's at least 1 agenda in hand. Drawing into an HQ axis is so risky because it can get worse. You're saying that I'm expecting this to get better. Yes. Now this also means you don't have to run the remote server anymore.
You're telling John you need to dilute your hand.
Yeah.
And that means that there's a card that you want to protect somehow.
This HQ run is huge for John. He knows where the agendas are. He might steal one, but he also now no longer needs to run the remote server. Architect shuffling up there again. I think we put 2 operations back into the deck, if I'm not mistaken.
Shuffling. Okay, cut the deck.
You do need to offer that cut. Second spin doctor, third spin doctor.
Yeah, that's right. This is the last spin doctor, yeah.
Yeah, now there's still some recursion left, always in PD if you're scoring out agendas. And here, Architect definitely wants to be scoring out those ICOA projects, the 5-3.
We have that die, that's definitely a prize from this event.
I think there might be 2 agendas in 7. Touching a card.
The thing is, do you use a 6-sided die when you have 7 cards to access?
Yeah. You just choose which side to start on. As long as your opponent shuffles you, you don't actually have to use a die.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do. Now, that shows a seamless in hand, which I think we can tell there's been a seamless in hand since early in the game because of the PD recursion. So not a lot gained there. You can always go back. It costs 2 credits. Now, Orca charges first time a turn. I don't think you need the Orca to charge more.
But
if you have a bravado or some way to sweeten this deal, it feels like a bit of a waste to overclock HQ for obvious reasons.
Sure.
But this is the exact point where, like, John doesn't have to do much besides maybe run back and then continue to just make money.
Yeah, true.
Bravado, there you go.
We're just going to bravado run back. Yeah, might as well.
Yeah. With the prepaid, this is a +5 credit run, -2 credits for breaking. We're going to get an additional credit for passing, mind you, the drafter, and we're going to access.
So we've seen a seamless last time. Oh, you're right. We're doing it from the other side.
Oh.
Okay, there we go. Well.
Not surprising.
Yeah.
That's still in there. Could be 2.
There could be 2.
I honestly think 2 might make sense considering the what came back, and there's a creative commission. So we did what we wanted to. Did we get the Onicom draw? Oh, he didn't get his bravado credits.
Yeah,
we got it. Yeah, it's
okay,
huge. I noticed this through editing that I think actually it's really important if you're playing Onicom or playing run events, play your event in front of you and then move it.
Yeah, exactly. You need a constant reminder that because there's so many triggers, the Onicom, the bravado, there's so much going on.
I think playing events straight to the heap is it's harder to remember all your triggers.
Yeah.
Spin Doctor getting cracked right away. So it means that Architect
installed.
wants to draw these cards. One of them's face down. Could be an agenda.
And now Archives is empty, interestingly. So Drafter is a lot less effective. Not that you'd let Drafter fire.
Yeah, you have no reason to, but you're right. Gatekeeper technically has less teeth, but now on 21 to 7 credits, Architect needs to set up a really good turn where he needs to like get a hedge fund, get his money up, and then he needs to do a double or triple install with multiple seamlesses in hand. And I think there's a chance he has multiple seamlesses in hand. We know he probably has an agenda in hand because of that Spin Doctor. Yes. John has to know that. So if something goes in the remote server here, it's very likely to be an agenda. This might be the turn.
Yeah. John is still in a position where he can check it pretty easily, though.
Yes.
So.
The question is, can he deal with Anoetics? Can he deal with Anoetic Managarm plus border control?
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, all of this requires money.
It requires money. It requires potentially the cards from your hand. Like, you can't do that infinitely.
So there's 2 options here. Architect either needs to do, like, hedge fund, get some more money.
Yeah.
Double install, or hedge fund, and then next turn triple install. Because you want to do Managarm, Anoetic, and agenda.
Right. You don't want to put anyone of those out
on their own. Yeah.
Even though the Tranquility is tempting you with that a little bit of econ there.
If you have like 2 Managarms, you could feed the first one and then hopefully it takes some credits when John runs it, and then do the second one and then the Anoetic and then the agenda.
True.
But the problem is like rezzing ice, firing Anoetic, scoring the agenda, that all costs money here. And I don't see how maybe you can get through with a greasing, but I think you need a hedge fund. A greasing actually would be really good. If you can do greasing, upgrade agenda.
Yes.
Double greasing would be sick. Architect thinking here again, a huge mitt there of 8 cards. Mind you, we have a 6-card hand size. Maybe it's actually 9 cards. That hand size does help the HQ accesses, does give you a fair bit of defense if you're holding one agenda in 6 versus 5.
Yeah, that's true. But who knows what he drew? Like he drew 4 cards.
Yeah.
He might have inadvertently drawn into an agenda with that second Spin Doctor res.
Now we've seen 1 overclock so far. I think 1 trick shot may have been discarded. That's always a threat too, just like getting more money to run the remote server. You can trick shot R&D, jack out.
Yeah.
It's not as great as an overclock, but it's similar.
I mean, trick shotting R&D is pretty tempting. I think that almost exactly clears the Hoggins.
Yeah. But this is the thing is like, I don't think John has to go for accesses. He can just suffocate the remote server until he's on game point.
Yeah.
And then say, okay, I'll trick shot. I'll catalog.
Contest everything he can. Yeah. It's easy.
This is like quintessential shaper control. Now, the only thing that Architect can do here is hope that he can get John to overextend, and eventually, you know, that deck is not that big.
Right.
And
once John's out of deck, he has no more tricks.
And some of those cards are compile. Some of those cards are spark. Some of those cards they don't do anything. The next prepaid doesn't do anything.
True.
The next Onicom. Now, giving a big think here, I would not be envious of being in Architect's position here. It's a really narrow line. He was, again, going very fast, very quick. And things have slowed down a couple turns where things have been presented. That's technically another turn where a threat hasn't been presented. It was clearly a spin doctor as soon as click 1. And so you don't actually have to force John to spend credits in a way that you're in control of.
Yeah. John can have a pretty relaxed turn here. He doesn't have to put pressure on.
Thinking through flipping those counters. First click there. There's the hedge fund. So money up is definitely step 1 of the problem. Now we need to get something in the remote server, and you need a defensive upgrade here. Now the Tranquility home grid, 2 cards. Sorry, 2 credits or card. Ice on HQ? Looks like we might be taking a turn off here. I don't think we're jamming unless it's an upgrade.
And taking credit?
Taking a credit, discarding cards here. Now with all the spin doctors out, it looks like we have 6 in hand. But if cards are in HQ, agendas have to stay there. They're not going to be discarded likely. Back to John here. He is pretty sure next turn, Architect is going to push.
Yes.
So you can consider contesting HQ. Again, forcing some reses could be pretty good here.
A little bit of money out. That's useful. Still on 4-0.
Yeah. But when the corporation doesn't feel like they have a scoring server in a scoring server-based deck, it's just, can you make it work for you?
Yeah.
Now we've seen there's been a burner in hand for like, I think the last 5-6 turns.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
We saw that a while ago.
Very powerful card for many reasons. Getting the seamless out of the hand, dealing with anoetics, like it's just very, very powerful. For 2 credits, Cataloger coming down.
This is the win condition.
It is. Now you don't need this right now. It's not doing anything here. Like I think if you pivot to Cataloger right now, you give a window for the remote server possibly that it's okay to get this down. It's open deckless. Last click draw.
Yeah. It's good to note that Cataloger is power counters. Orca can charge it as well as Lobby.
Yes.
So if you're able to do
you have options, yeah. I think John drew last click. In theory, you want to draw before you commit to the Cataloger.
That's true.
So he might be caught a bit off guard there, but if Architect can sense that, like this is where you might say, okay, if you want to go Cataloger, I can get the remote server. So now he might feel a bit more pressure to push in the remote server. But this is a threat for, I'm hoping, the next couple turns. I think you can camp the remote here. We see there very close to the camera, 7 cards in hand.
Yeah, really aggressively pushing the cards towards the camera.
So now we have to decide here on 19 credits. Prepaid voice pad will give you a 5 credit run if an overclock comes down. There's 2 ice there. A brawn drops you down to 5 credits. Your resident defensive upgrade, you're down to 3 credits. That puts you credit perfect to like seamless advance if it's a 5-3.
Yeah, true. 3 credits is all you need, plus those cards.
Now you can't count on a double seamless play if you're expecting burner.
No, because you definitely, like, I mean, yes, you do know the open deck list. You know there's at least 2 burners, maybe 3.
I think there's 2, yeah.
Okay.
So this is, again, very, very tricky. Now, that was not a huge tempo turn. This is what sometimes happens. You're assuming that the hand is full of run events, and John just doesn't have a reason to play the run events. So we're just drawing through the deck, installing a card. No prepaid, it's fine. The Architect here has to figure out what's a pretty narrow line here. You don't want to be scoring out 2 4-2s. If you can avoid it, maybe that's okay, because you can make more threats and force more runs. But ideally, you win the game with a 5-3.
If you can make it taxing enough, you can feed John one of those 4-2s.
And then get a window.
The
problem is, like, if that happens, you probably use your defensive upgrade.
Yeah. All right, we are installing on Tranquility, which means we get
2
credits.
Up to 13. Thinking. There's the double. Okay, this looks like a push.
Yep, that looks like agenda plus defensive.
So the defensives in this deck are Anoetic and Managarm Skunkworks. If you're not familiar with how they work together, the answer is favorably.
Yeah, the answer is well.
Reordering them.
Oh, okay.
That has no rules impact.
No, but we're doing the Monty Hall thing, I think.
Gotta keep him guessing. I think this is just easier so that if he advances the top one, he advances it. He has 1 click left here. So with no advancements, the threat to John is seamless advance, closes the game out, scoring an Iquat, bringing from 4 to 7.
Yeah.
I think that's a turn. Hedge fund double install. Was that the turn?
I think this was the turn, yes. Hedge fund.
I think he has 1 more.
Maybe the hedge fund was earlier?
The hedge fund was last turn. It was hedge fund ice HQ. Last click, advance.
Okay.
Okay. So that's why the rearrangement. Okay, so now we know 1 seamless has to survive to do seamless advance.
Yes.
If John needs to break the remote server, and very importantly, Project Iqua says for an ability for the runner to steal this, they need to spend a click and 2 credits, which means running a last click doesn't work.
That's right.
So John has to sequence this turn relatively well. But you think the defensive upgrade, if it's a Managarm, you can just pay 5. So you need this to be the Anoetic.
Yeah.
If this is Anoetic, you can force 2 runs back and then still have a seamless in hand. Now this
Yeah,
is soft.
it's tight.
It's
but,
soft to burner. Border control doesn't matter. Border control can matter a lot. Excuse me.
Yeah,
Gatekeeper doesn't matter. You break it for like 4 credits. It's not too taxing compared to most decks.
of course.
You're good at breaking high strength code gates with Lobby. And then we don't know what the innermost ice is. I think we saw Gatekeeper early off top of R&D. That could be there. We saw Hagen off of R&D, but that seems to have hit the table already. Bronze seems a bit expensive. Like,
Yeah, bronze pretty pricey right now.
yeah.
I wonder what's going on there.
And John here thinking how to disassemble this. Again, we're looking at trick shots. We're looking at overclocks. There's a lot of ways to make runs cheap for you.
And of course, that burner in hand that we can
Yeah.
kind of see. Yeah, there we go.
Oh, it's so hard to play Anoetic into burner, to hold the seamlesses into burner.
Yeah.
Even with a 6-card hand size, right? Like that was a double install turn. So there's a chance that we're on it. Maybe 5 cards in hand. Might just be 4. I think we're on 5 cards in
Does our
hand.
deck have 5 cards in HQ?
I think so.
Okay. So yeah, 1 Anoetic brings it down to 3.
5 cards in hand.
Into 1. Yeah, there we go.
So this is looking
Burner
like
would bring it down to 3.
the final turn. And John had all these turns set up to prepare for this. And I'm assuming he's prepared.
Yeah.
The question is, what combination of ice makes this untenable? With Anoetic, you have to run back 2, maybe 3 times. With burner, it changes that math. Sometimes you can only run back once.
Yeah. Another thing, like with the open deck list, I think we know that there's no other advanceable card in this.
No.
It can only be an agenda. It's not even.
Yeah. That's not super surprising for PT decks, but 100%. We have clear confidence that this is very likely the 5-3. If it's not, if it's a 4-2 and, you know, you force John to spend a lot on it, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But you still have to score another agenda, which is a bit rough for the corporation here. But Lobby Orca, again, as long as you can get over that 18 credit hurdle, which there's many ways to cheat it out, we're charging.
Running.
First click into remote server.
We're going to res this
outermost
ice.
ice has to be important.
It's a border control. That's important.
That's a really big res. That means you cannot run the server click 3 or click 4 because you can't deal with border control into Ikwa.
Yeah. Okay, so we're breaking with Lobby.
Kit's ability, so you don't use the counter. Innermost,
we gain a counter.
we're down to 8 credits.
Gonna res. Of
No
course,
res.
it's Anoetic.
Anoetic, 2 cards from hand. That'll drop down to 3 cards in hand. That puts you in perfectly in burner territory here. And we're assuming that you need at least 1 seamless in hand. Now, Anoetic says spend 2 cards and 2 credits to end the run here. We can fire that one more time. So technically, if there's no burner here, this is nearly bulletproof.
Yes.
You run again, Anoetic fires. You run again, border control fires. You run again, you can't steal Ikwa. You
That is
need
true,
a way
yep.
to disrupt.
Because
This is
Ikwa-
the setup.
Ikwa
However,
also requires an extra click.
yes,
Okay, this is tough.
the problem is if John has the burner, of which there's 2 in the
There's
list,
2 in the list. There we go.
this will come crashing down in a pretty
Okay.
disastrous way.
Yes.
Now, only 6 credits. You need at least 2 to technically threaten out to score out. You could do credit seamless with 1, maybe, depending on cards in hand. But it is just drafter on the innermost, broken for 2 with Orca.
This is pretty exciting to see live, by the way. I think like the crowd went wild.
Whoa!
2 seamless and an agenda in HQ.
Now this is huge.
Very easy choice. The seamlesses go
On
back
the bottom. You know the hand is 2 points. You know the remote is 3 points.
God, it feels weird as a runner to hand the agenda back.
I
Right?
know.
It feels a bit odd. Okay, we're gonna. Yeah. Hey, keep me out. I dare you. Is what John is saying about this server.
Lobisoma, we're going to break all of it. Money does matter. They're going to use our first counter off the Lobby, second most ice. Now we're down to 6 credits. Now this changes because Architect knows he cannot score out in the remote server anymore. He is short unless he top decks a seamless launch,
He top decks a seamless.
which there is one more in the deck.
There's one more in that still relatively thick deck, 25-ish cards, I'd wager. So we know 2 of them are at the bottom.
Didn't res this ice before because he might have needed those credits to fire Anoetic again.
Yeah.
Let alone maybe he can res this on the run back, right? Like he did the math really well. Of course he did.
Yeah, but now maybe I res it.
Yes.
Maybe
now
I
you
res it.
consider resing it. He's obviously thinking about this. Now the Anoetic here.
That burner really changed the game.
Yeah. He can't fire the Anoetic anymore. He doesn't have the cards in hand.
Yeah. Again, unless he top decks, but
yeah,
we'll see.
Now you can always crack the border control. That'll put John on only 1 more click, which means technically the 5-3 is entirely safe. It's a gatekeeper.
Okay.
6 strength.
Needs
Now-
to be boosted into.
You need to break those subroutines because giving cards to the corporation means
Yes.
the Anoetic is back online.
Yeah, that means it'll be a lot of card draw that might give him a seamless. You can't let that fire.
Well, not even seamless, just Anoetic cards, right?
Or Anoetic cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Luckily, 6 strength. That's pretty bad for most runners, but Lobisomi breaks that for 3 to 4 credits. Now, you want to break all of it to force out the border control because here the border control is the only thing protecting the Ikwa. Now, this is a hard decision.
Right, this is John's 3rd click. He
Yes.
has the click spare to steal the equal.
Now, if the border control stays, you have a remote server that you can score in maybe on the following turn or in the following turns once money recovers. So using this border control is a big gamble. Now,
But it's
Gatekeeper,
you have to. Like, there's no choice, right?
You could maybe give a 3-pointer. I don't know. It's hard.
You could, yeah, I guess you could maybe give a 3-pointer.
The thing is, if Architect,
That's a rough choice. That's a very rough choice.
Top decks the seamless launch, the game, he has the game here.
Okay, but here's the thing. If he lets John in, then John trashes the Anoetic too. And the Anoetic is also a mandatory part of Architect's path to victory here, right?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
You're assuming there's another one somewhere, but you'd have to draw it?
Sure.
It's bad, no matter what.
Yeah, okay.
Now,
well, we agree with that. That's what's important.
I think John there just got the missed Onacom trigger off the burner. So he has another card in hand. You know HQ has an agenda in it. You can run it on 3 credits. I don't expect any ice to be res there. So you're paying 2 credits there to steal. Now you might think you can run the remote server and with a gatekeeper. And the big bluff potentially here is that we think this is the Ikwa. With the Ikwa, you need to click in 2 credits.
Exactly.
So John says, I'm going to let that cook here. Also, very importantly, stealing this 2-pointer takes a card out of the corporation's hand. So it's harder to protect with Anoetic on the further turn.
Yeah, that's a good point. But you might as well take it.
Yeah. So no res there.
Sam is not going to res that, of course.
Orca for 2, whether you charge the lobby, you charge the, we've already used it.
I think we already used it.
Yeah, offer office. That's 2 points for John.
John's on the board.
And this is exactly what I mean. That as long as you can play in the control and the remote server, it doesn't matter if you're down 6-0.
Yeah.
If the corporation doesn't have a scoring remote. Top deck seamless?
Top deck seamless.
No dice.
Oh.
I think Sam was saying like one chance on top deck is seamless here.
Like a 1 in 20 or something.
Doesn't have it there. Seamless advance would close it out. So now he has a couple problems here. If he chooses to draw up, he can get cards in hand for Anoetic, that's for sure, but he can fire Anoetic once before he's out of money, and then he can't score out the 5-3. This is where, in theory, if you had another Spin Doctor, you could overinstall it and save it, but unfortunately, we don't have more Spin Doctors.
All out of Spin Doctors.
Top decking a Managarm, that's also very interesting, because you can put a Managarm in the remote server, gain money from the Tranquility, then have more cards in hand, and then John would have to res it, pay for Managarm tax, run it twice, like it's a possibility.
He's taking credit.
Nothing to put in the remote server.
Nothing to put in the remote server. This is
2 cards in hand.
Yeah. John can go get it. It's not definitely game, but
it's still a bit of work.
That agenda is no longer.
Notably, John is down on 6 credits. Daily casts are done.
That's a good point. Maybe John is actually running on fumes right now, or almost.
The remote server is going to cost you Gatekeeper for 2.
Yep.
If Anoetic fires, again, another 2, and then you still have to steal Ikwa for 2. Like, that is a fair bit of money, but sure gamble.
Sure gamble. There we go. With the prepaid. Yep.
You always forget how hard it is to tax out like a click for 5 credit prepaid economy.
Yeah.
Draw a card, low Soma, getting through the Gatekeeper there for 2. The question is whether, does Architect need the cards in hand?
Cards.
Yeah. If one of them is an agenda.
I think you let John have this.
If one of the cards is agenda, Archives wins the game, right?
Yeah. Okay.
There's the Ikwa. That's why we're not running back.
There we go.
Click.
John's happy about that.
And 2 credits. John is now suddenly on game point. Anoetic going to go down for 1. Tranquility home grid. It's definitely a question on 6 credits. It's a bit harder than it was earlier on 16, but this is when actually Architect needs the money more. Looks like it might just stay there. Now 2 cards in hand. Anoetic hasn't fired Architect here. The remote server, really difficult. There's a chance you have a small window if you can put border control and an agenda and have double seamless. But the big thing for John is he knows where 2 seamlesses are on the bottom of the deck.
Yes, exactly.
There's no more shuffle effects.
Yeah.
There's no more shuffle effects, which means that he doesn't need to run any card that's not advanced.
Yeah, that's true.
This is so difficult. Because in Ikwa, you have to do install advance, or install advance at a minimum. Hopefully you drew the 3rd. 50-50.
2 cards.
Or not 50-50, yeah, just 2 cards. You access 50 of them. Touching a card there. It's another Tranquility home grade again. You can't stack those.
Yeah, not going to spend his precious 4 credits.
Now, the other card in hand might have actually been an agenda. The Anoetic discard is expensive, but Architect needs to pull off some sort of wild play here. It's now probably score a 2-4-2s, considering the lack of seamlesses. But 2 seamlesses on the bottom of the deck, you're functionally out of the game with no Spin Doctors, no shuffle effects anymore. Now, this is where the cataloger gets terrifying. A single Ikwa, a single 2-pointer off the top of the deck, you just need to make 1 run, the game is over. So you need to put as much pressure on the remote server to keep John away from the cataloger, and even then he can just say, I'll make a cataloger, hope for the best. Hedge fund, install ice for 1, and we need to get something in the remote server. Just click for credit, not threatening, not building a response. John here has a window.
He has he's got trick shots in hand. Maybe it's time for it to play that beautiful alt-art trick shot.
Yeah, the
Get
cataloger
multi-access, maybe that's where it is.
Has been waiting there. He's done a good job playing control here. Those Hoggins are not that expensive.
Build script.
Diesel plus a credit, spend an influence, okay.
Don't hate that.
There's a sure gamble in hand as well, and a dirty laundry, so more money coming in. We have that prepaid credit here, but with the trick shot, that's going to be, again, a 4 credit run on R&D for free with the prepaid.
It's not bad.
Not bad at all. As much as you lose the double axis, the cataloger is more likely to get you what you need here. You find any agenda.
Yeah.
As long as you have the clicks, mind you, you need to sometimes track out the extra click and the 2 credits for the Ikwa.
Yeah, it might be the Ikwa, but like
I think he would.
There's enough 4-2s left in this deck.
Dirty Laundry. We're going to see what's thrown out from the Anoetic.
Okay.
Greasing and Hedge Fund, just the econ. Again, he had to keep agenda.
Yes.
Seamless. So makes sense.
Okay.
Up to 9 credits. Loaded Lobi Somu. Cataloger on 2 here. Wait, are we going for the trick shot? Trick shot.
There we go.
So we don't know if he's going to see 2 or if he's going to go for the cataloger. But importantly, if he sees an Ikwa here, he actually can't take it.
Right.
But at least he can put it 4 cards down and come back later.
That's true. And maybe even just choose to access it with... no, that's not how catalog works, is it?
Drafter. Going to break for 2. Charge either the cataloger or the Lobi. So now the server only costs 6 credits. That gets you most of the way through with the trick shot.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
You thinking what to charge here? Again, the cataloger, you're not likely to need more than the counters, but I don't think you're also going to need the Lobisomu counter. So I think it might be a bit of a moot point, but this is terrifying. Seeing 4 cards. There's so many 2-pointers left in the deck.
Man.
Only 1 Ikwa left, and that is relatively safe. But
okay, 1 on the cataloger. Cataloger, he's saying this is my win condition.
Yeah.
See what happens here.
So we're running there. The Hagen is a barrier. Is going to use tokens off of this. Now it is 4 strength. So you have to do 1 boost, 1 break, the first subroutine. I think John pays 3 for that. So breaking the first subroutine, you can do that. You don't need to.
Right, yeah.
Second Eyes again, overspending. I think 1. We're down to only 4 credits. But it's hard sometimes a prepaid deck. We know that there's econ in hand. Question is whether we see 2 cards or whether we look at 4 with the cataloger. And if we find any non-Ikwa, we just hit that button. There's no more shuffle effects.
Yeah.
John deciding.
Okay.
Looking at what's there. He's going to use the cataloger.
Use the cataloger to arrange the top 4 cards.
A really strong card. Not that there's not enough of Rebellion Without Rehearsal strong shaper cards, but looking at the 4 there, I think I see an off-world office. I think I see 2 off-world offices.
And then we access.
I think we pause for effect.
Oh, we pause for effect. Yeah, let's pause for drama.
And that's a handshake off the top. John takes it 7 points to 4. I think John's partner just showed up for the last 10 minutes, walked in. She got to see this, which is phenomenal.
There we go. The second one was there.
Double off-world
I was actually like hanging out with her like, okay, now what John's just done with the burner was.
That was such a huge play, but congratulations to both players there. John finally beating this PD deck, and Sam, such a great early game, just going
very strong
forward.
early game, really aggressive.
Understanding. I think John's order of the draw there at the beginning did not make it easy to interact, but only ran when it was entirely safe, and it seemed like that was just fast enough.
Yeah.
The way that Architect slowed down there. What a great play, though. Understanding the Anoetic border control. I have a chance here. It does lose really hard to Burner, and let me tell you, if Shapers are not playing Burner, you got to hope they don't have it.
Yeah, it's true. Like the PD had few options on that. Like PD had to behave in a certain way to just stay in the game at all. And John knew that. He's like, I will force you to do the things that you need to do, and that will work out in my favor. That's very interesting.
That's
a lot of applause here for the organizers, for everyone who's taking part in it. Like, there are volunteers working at this event too that were so helpful. What a great event. And congratulations to John, our East Coast Canadian national champion.
This is the first year that every nationals in Canada is won by Canadian.
Oh, good for us.
Yeah, usually an American takes one.
We did it.
Yeah, we did it.
Yeah. All we had to do was sabotage the border and...
Huge shout outs again to both players here and everyone who came out, to all the organizers. It was a phenomenal event. I need to give a huge thanks also to Terrence, who did all the filming for this event.
Of course,
Otherwise we wouldn't have this footage for the last couple games that are up on the channel. So thanks so much again. Architect, phenomenal run. John, cannot be happier for a Montreal player to take it. We had some great games on camera, and Pat, thanks for joining me.
Of course, I had a great time. Thanks for having me.
Real quick, we'll be back in a couple weeks with NAMPC Montreal. So we're going to be playing some in-table play in Montreal, running a competitive event of caliber like this. I'm super stoked. And so there should be more in-person play on the channel in the next month or so. So stay tuned for that.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Take care. Thanks for watching. Ciao.
Bye.
Hey, thank you so much for watching. That is the wrap of Canadian Nationals 2024. A big thank you to all the folks in Toronto for putting on a fantastic event and making us feel as welcome as we always do when we come down to events like that. This is the first year that we've had 2 Canadian national champions across all of Canada. We had 2 nationals this year, and they're both Canadians. That's not very common. Usually an American comes up and steals our title, so we're super happy to hold it down, let alone John, a local. I think he's now only the 2nd ever national champion who came from the Montreal meta. We cannot be more proud. And with that, That's the end of the Canadian National Series, but we'll be back. NPC Montreal is probably going on right now, if not already happened, based on when this video comes out. And we're going to be recording a bunch of that stuff, so we'll be back with some in-person gameplay. Of course, live streams and all that stuff are going to be continuing on like normal, but more in-table play is just yet to come. Huge thank you to all these names here and more. Again, we're supported on Patreon, and all these names and all the Daily Cast patrons give me the time and the ability to edit together videos like this. It takes a long time, I promise you, but I'm super excited to be able to get it done. So thank you to all these names. If you want to look at supporting the Metropole Grid, the link is down below to the Patreon. Any sort of support is incredibly appreciated. And with that, we'll be back with some gameplay in a while. Otherwise, Tuesdays, Thursdays, drop by for a stream. Hopefully you've been enjoying some of the content here, and we'll be back with more in just a bit. Thanks for watching. Ciao.